What's going on, everybody? This is Jeff with Living in Arizona, and today we're going to talk about a subject that's kind of come up. It's been coming up, but it's the housing shortage in Arizona. So, as you guys know, Arizona, Maricopa County, which is the county where Phoenix, the large metropolitan area in Arizona, exists, is the fastest growing in the country. We've already documented that many times. Many of you guys already know the fastest growing county in America is Maricopa County. Okay, so what is causing this housing shortage? Why is there so much? So there's a lot of demand for people moving here. Why can't they build them fast enough? Okay, so in an area like Phoenix, you guys know we've talked about the housing boom in Arizona and how Phoenix is really just the epicenter of this massive urban sprawl that just keeps going in all directions, mostly towards Santan Valley, towards Florence from Queen Creek and East Mesa all the way out to Buckeye and then northeast Peoria, right? Scottsdale's not growing as fast as these other areas that are getting this urban sprawl and this swell. Where is it coming from, and why can't they keep up with that demand? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. I'm also going to field some comments and questions from you guys as it comes in. So if you're excited about this video, crush up the likes. Looks like 80 of you guys have already crushed up the likes. So we've got this moving here quickly. What's up, Chuck Miller? And yeah, this is the Bitcoin logo. Okay, so what's going on? Why is Arizona experiencing such a tight market? So it says right here on Arizona Central, for example. Let's see here. Arizona Central is a tough one to read because of, okay. So Arizona is now third worst in the nation for affordable housing. For a decade now, an affordable housing shortage has devastated Arizona's poor and middle-class households. One advocate called it the perfect storm. So why am I talking about this? Why is it not just all sunshines, unicorns, and rainbows right now, right? Well, because this is something that if you're considering moving to Phoenix in Arizona, you should be aware of. I asked my brother, who's a real estate agent, because this actually comes up in our group, Living in Arizona. If you haven't already joined that, you should. And you could have kept up with this thread where this conversation is going on. And shout out to Bruce Hogue for participating and sharing additional literature here. But I'll share the link right here. But you can see the lower income and the medium income households are really affected by this because Arizona is one of the places for low and affordable housing, as per this housing crunch that we're in. Arizona's rental housing supply can now meet only a quarter of the state's needs. So according to an annual report released Thursday by the National Low Income Housing Coalition. Okay, so that's just one article. And then I'll dial it in here and go to a more interesting one from KJZZ. Okay, so this one comes in. It says, look around Phoenix and you see cranes and construction sites, new buildings everywhere. If you think the city looks like a place that's developing fast, you would be right. That's what they said here on this article. But our population is among the fastest growing in the country over the last few years. Over 200 people have been moving to the Phoenix area every day. So that's 200 people coming into Phoenix every single day, new residents. So our population grows by 200 a day. That's a lot of people. And as you know, the reason people are moving here is because they want that over 300 days of sunshine per year. They're done with the freezing cold. I mean, I've got people that I met in Maine and Boston. They're like, get me out of here. Can I come to your house in Arizona? So people are like, they're finding out that there's sunshine and they're like, give me that sunshine. But that's what's causing this big boom. And they can't build them fast enough. So why can't they build them fast enough? And here's a theory that has kind of come about. Well, as they've secured the border. So previously in the Bush era, for example, they had a lot of immigrants from Mexico. It was easier to find migrant labor. You could go to Home Depot. You could get a crew of guys. They come work with you, and you can build stuff. Nowadays, with the tight border security, that manpower, that workforce that was once there in 2008 is no longer there. So they're having to pay more, and they just can't find good enough help. So guys like me who move out to a brand new suburb, we're like, hey, you guys are building houses fast enough. Why can't you build any entertainment facilities? Truth is, there's not enough manpower. That's why things can't get built, is because there's not enough. There's too many people moving here. And the supply's not there. So because of that high demand, they just don't have enough manpower. And that's part of what's causing this problem. So I know guys like Darren Kroc who absolutely hate Phoenix. He would tell you stay away from Phoenix, as he's saying right here. But guys like Darren Kroc are in the minority because a lot of people are trying to move here more and more. And when they get here, they tell their friends and family, and then their friends and family come here. And so, like Darren was saying, he's in here right now. He'll tell you how he really feels about Phoenix. But for the most part, this place is really booming. So Darren Kroc, he just commented, he said, Phoenix is going to shrink when the water from Lake Mead dries up. That's a great point, Darren. Thanks to the 16 people who crushed up the likes, by the way. I just spoke to my brother, who is the real estate agent, and he said that another thing slowing down that growth in areas like Buckeye and Santan Valley, where you're really seeing the swell, but why is it not growing exponentially like it needs to, is because of the water issue. So Santan Valley and Buckeye, at least as far as I understand, they don't pull off CAP or SRP. So CAP, Central Arizona Project, that's Colorado River water. SRP is Salt River Project water. The only other option to get water is coming from groundwater. So yes, in Phoenix, they have a groundwater supply, but the Colorado River is what fuels a lot of these southwestern cities and metro areas. So Darren does have a good point. The water crisis is still something to keep in mind. So it's even gotten to the point where the federal government had to step in and say, hey, Phoenix, Arizona, you guys need to come up with a plan. If we're going to let you guys keep growing, we need to know, can you guys supply enough water to house these people? And it's not just, can you supply the water in the short term? It's like, what's the long-term plan for the water crisis? Do we have a plan? And as we've talked about many times on this channel, I personally am big on desalinization. I think it was CNBC or MSNBC or one of those major news channels. They actually talked about desalinization about a week ago, which I was surprised they finally did it. I said to myself, why have you taken so long to say that desal can actually solve some of the water crisis problems? Now, how can desalinization help Phoenix metro area with the water crisis? Well, for one, in case you don't know what desalinization is, it's taking salt water from the ocean and translating it and turning it into fresh drinking water. And I know this can be done because when I was in the Navy, our aircraft carrier, when we were out to sea, all of the water that we would drink and use on board that was fresh drinking water came from the ocean. So our aircraft carrier was able to take salt water, turn it into fresh drinking water, and it tasted just like water. And I know it can be done. So what would happen is a place like Los Angeles, which is, 18 million metropolitan area, maybe more than that, give or take how many people are there documented or undocumented. They can start pulling off the Colorado River, and that would allow places like Las Vegas and Phoenix to use that water from the Colorado to address, that would take some of the burden off Phoenix and Las Vegas. Let's see. I told you guys I would listen to some of the comments, so I'm going to start reading because there's a lot. Let's see here. Steve Burrow says Gilbert, Southeast Mesa, Queen Creek is expanding. Yes. Torres family. Taxes, water bills are going up. Yes. We've had this conversation about how as the demand is coming in, what happens when there's a demand, right? Prices start going up. And, I was talking to someone the other day. They bought 2 houses in 2009 when the market was really good to buy. When no one wanted to buy, they were buying. And so they're now like 3 times up on their value of their home because they got their home for $100,000. That same home is now worth $300,000. So keep in mind, when the next recession happens, if it ever happens anytime soon, it could happen next year, it could happen in 10 years. The time to buy is when the price goes down. So you want to have some savings, some free cash on hand to go in there and step in and make the buy. When you get into situations like we're at right now, where we're approaching a bubble, depending on who you ask, I mean, I've talked to a few people, they say we're not quite in a bubble, and yeah, you can still buy a house and it's still a pretty good time to buy a house. But conventional wisdom would say tread lightly. That's what we've seen already before is But there is that demand. So because there's the demand, if that demand keeps going up, which it likely will, because people will want to move here because of the sunshine, keep going. But we do have that gray cloud over our head, which is called the water crisis. Until that water crisis fully gets off our back, it's like the oil crisis. Remember what 10, 20 years ago? I don't know if you guys know this, by the way. 20 years ago, America was maybe 5, 10 in oil production in the world, 5th or 10th, right? We just weren't. We produced oil, but we weren't one of the top ones. We had already used up all the oil from Los Angeles. We already used up most of Texas's oil. Then a new technology comes out called oil fracking, shale technology, where they could take. If you don't know what shale technology is, it's where you take these hard oil pellets and they melt them down and they turn it into liquid oil. And they drill real far down. And now America is the #1 producer of oil in the world. Look it up. It used to be Saudi Arabia. But now that that's happened, it's created this demand, or it's created this we went from a shortage to now we have reserves for days. So we could have a water shortage crisis coming up, but all of a sudden a new technology comes out where they're like, hey, deploy the desalination, start taking out of the ocean. Because what are the climate change people saying? Ocean levels are rising. So they can't really say, oh, don't drink the ocean water, you'll deplete the oceans. That's not going to hold up. So there's an abundance of water in the ocean. It's just you gotta take the technology and translate it into fresh drinking water. So if they tap into that, you go from a crisis to now all of a sudden, here goes Phoenix on even bigger boom. And they already projected the Tucson to Phoenix mega region, 20 million people to live here by 2050. So what are we in, 2020? Was it 2040 or 2050? So in the next 30 years, Phoenix is projected, or has been projected, as per the mega region map by, I forget, the Census Bureau or someone who put it together, to triple in size. And it can only happen if the water situation gets resolved. So anyways, guys, I just wanted to make this video, touch on this subject. If you guys have any other ideas about this, please do share a comment below. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Sorry if I didn't get to answer all the questions, but also if you're missing these live feeds, you can turn on the bell to get notified when we do drop a live feed. And that's right next to the subscribe button. Turn on that bell. You'll get notified when we go live. So we will see you guys next time. I look forward to the comments, and please do join our group right here. So we will see you guys. Thanks to the 22 people who crushed up the likes.